There is a moment, quiet, almost invisible, when you stop in the middle of your ordinary day and feel it. Not pain, exactly. Not sadness. Something subtler. A hollowness. A gap between the life you're living and the life you somehow know you were meant to live. You're breathing. You're moving. You're doing all the things you've always done. And yet, something is missing. You look around at your routine, your responsibilities, your relationships, and you ask yourself a question so simple it almost embarrasses you. Where did I go? Not the job. Not the title. Not the version of you the world sees. You. The dreamer. The believer. The one who once felt genuinely, unmistakably alive. If that is you today, if that question has been whispering inside you, then I want you to hear this clearly. You can come back. Not to who you were. Not to an old chapter. But to the truest version of who you are. And it begins with a single, courageous decision, the decision to find yourself again. Losing yourself rarely happens all at once. It doesn't arrive like a storm. It creeps in, slowly, quietly, a little at a time. When we're young, we don't question our worth. We don't perform for approval. We dream without permission, hope without evidence, and show up in the world exactly as we are, curious, open, unapologetically real. But life has a way of redirecting us. Somewhere along the journey, we begin to listen more to the world and less to the voice inside us. We trade authenticity for acceptance. We swap passion for practicality. We learn to survive, and quietly, without noticing, we stop learning to live. We say yes when we mean no. We shrink to fit spaces that were never built for us. We carry the expectations of others until our own dreams grow faint beneath the weight. And one day, we look in the mirror, and the reflection feels unfamiliar. But here is what I need you to understand. Losing yourself is not failure. It is a sign that you have been adapting, giving, surviving. It means you were present for others, even when you weren't present for yourself. That takes strength. And that same strength, that exact strength, is what will bring you back. Finding yourself again is not about going backward. You cannot step into the same river twice. It is not about reclaiming a younger version of you or returning to an easier time. It is about reconnecting with the part of you that was never truly lost. The part that simply grew quiet. The part that waited patiently, beneath all the noise and expectation and obligation. And here is the truth most people never hear. That part of you is still there. It hasn't left. It doesn't give up. It doesn't abandon you. It simply waits for you to slow down enough to hear it again. Not everyone reaches this moment. Many people spend entire lifetimes filling their days with noise, staying busy enough to never have to confront themselves. They move from task to task, distraction to distraction, never once sitting still long enough to ask, "Is this really my life?" But those who stop, those who pause, reflect, and choose to look inward, those are the ones who transform. Not by force. Not by pressure. But by awareness. And awareness is one of the most powerful forces a human being can cultivate. Awareness says, this version of me is not the final one, there is more inside me than I am currently living. I may have drifted, but I have not disappeared. So how do you begin? Not with a perfect plan. Not with all the answers mapped out. Not with certainty about where you're headed. You begin with one thing, honesty. Sit with yourself, not as the world sees you, but as you truly are. Strip away the roles, the labels, the titles. Forget what you're supposed to want. Forget what looks good from the outside. And ask the questions that matter. What do I truly want from this life? What did I stop believing in, and when? What dreams did I abandon because they felt too large, too risky, too impractical? What version of myself have I been hiding from? And most importantly, who am I when nobody is watching? These questions are not comfortable. They may bring up grief, or longing, or an ache for something you once felt but haven't felt in years. Let them. Because when you ask honest questions, you begin uncovering honest answers. Answers that surprise you. Answers that challenge you. Answers that wake something inside you that has been silent for far too long. This is the beginning. Not the destination, but the beginning. To find yourself again, you must first know what you stand for. Values are not words on a page. They are not slogans or personality traits you list on a resume. Values are behaviors. They are standards. They are the invisible compass that guides every choice, every relationship, every step you take, whether you're aware of them or not. I remember a season in my own life when I had everything the world said I should want. The career. The respect. The paycheck. The titles. I had climbed, I had achieved, I had performed. But at night, sitting quietly in my own home, I felt hollow. I was successful by every external measure, and completely disconnected from myself. It took time to understand why. The answer, when it came, was humbling. I had been living by someone else's values. I was chasing goals that weren't mine, following rules I had never chosen. And in doing so, I had silenced the very voice that once guided me. So I stopped. And for the first time in years, I asked myself the questions I had been avoiding. What matters most to me? Not to my family, not to my industry, not to the version of success I inherited, but to me? What do I want to stand for? What kind of person do I want to become? The process was quiet. It was uncomfortable. But it was the beginning of everything. Through reflection, I began to uncover patterns. The moments that made me feel alive, the moments I felt proud, the moments I felt ashamed. I started to see what energized me and what drained me. And slowly, through that honest inventory, my core values revealed themselves. Integrity emerged first, not just in my work, but in my relationships, my words, my private thoughts. Then growth, the refusal to stay the same, the commitment to keep learning and evolving. And then courage. The courage to say no, to walk away, to live authentically even when it cost me. Once I had those values, once I could name them and feel them, my decisions became clearer. I no longer had to wrestle with every crossroads. I simply asked, does this align with who I am? If yes, I acted. If no, I released it. Here is a process you can use. Step 1. Reflect on your proudest moments. When did you feel most alive, most yourself, most fulfilled? What principles guided you in those moments? Step 2. Reflect on your lowest moments. When did you feel ashamed, drained, or disconnected? What standards had you compromised? Step 3. Look for patterns. Your values are revealed in what consistently energizes you and what consistently depletes you. Step 4. Choose 3 to 5 core values. Don't try to live by 20. Focus on the few that feel essential, that feel like you. Step 5. Live by them daily. Make your decisions, set your goals, and take your actions in alignment with those values, not as a performance, but as a practice. When your life is aligned with your values, something remarkable happens. Decisions become simpler. Peace replaces the constant hum of doubt. And you begin to feel something you may not have felt in years. To rebuild yourself, you must first clear the ground. That means letting go, not just of the small things, not just of the easy things, but of the people, habits, environments, and stories that have been quietly dismantling you. I know how this sounds. And I know how hard it is. Because the things that break us are often also the things we've grown attached to. The familiar. The comfortable. The long-held. But nothing grows in toxic soil. Remove toxic relationships first. Some people are not bad people. They are simply not meant to walk your path. They reflect your past, not your future. They carry fears that, if you stay close enough, become your fears. They carry doubts that gradually become your doubts. I had people in my life I genuinely loved, friends, colleagues, even family, whose mindset was quietly keeping me small. Not out of malice, but out of their own limitations. And once I understood that, I had to make a painful but necessary choice. To protect my energy, to create distance, to choose my own growth over their comfort. The space that opened was extraordinary. Room to breathe. Room to think. Room to hear myself again. Then remove harmful habits. Habits are not just behaviors. They are declarations of identity. Every repeated action sends a message to yourself about who you are. And the wrong habits, the ones built on avoidance, escapism, or self-deception, build walls between you and the person you're trying to become. I spent years procrastinating. Telling myself tomorrow was soon enough. Watching small delays accumulate into a life I hadn't chosen. And the moment I began to see each postponed action as a brick in a wall separating me from my true self, everything changed. Not overnight. Not perfectly. But one habit at a time, with intention and discipline. Finally, and this may be the hardest one, remove the stories you tell yourself. I'm not smart enough. I'll fail again. I don't deserve more than this. It's too late for me. These stories feel like facts. They feel like self-awareness. But they are not. They are the accumulated weight of old wounds, outdated evidence, and borrowed beliefs, and they have no authority over your future unless you give it to them. The moment I chose to stop repeating those stories, I felt something shift. Not immediately, not dramatically, but steadily. The silence where those stories had lived began to fill with something else. I am capable. I can grow. I can rise, not in spite of my past, but because of what I've learned from it. Your words shape your world. Remove the ones that diminish you. Replace them, deliberately, consistently, with the ones that build you. Strength is not something you are born with. It is something you construct, piece by piece, decision by decision, in the ordinary moments no one ever sees. And the foundation of strength is knowing yourself. Knowing your values. Knowing your weaknesses. Knowing what broke you, not to dwell there, but to never be blindsided by it again. I have been through failure. Through disappointment. Through seasons where I felt so small I genuinely questioned whether I had anything left to offer. And I learned slowly through practice that strength is not the absence of falling. Strength is the commitment to rise every time you fall. Strength begins with discipline. Not the punishing, rigid kind, but the kind that quietly shapes your character from the inside out. The kind that turns small, consistent actions into an extraordinary life. I started simply. Waking earlier. Reading daily. Moving my body. Writing down my goals. Reflecting each evening on how I'd lived that day. It was not glamorous. It was, in fact, quite ordinary. But ordinary actions, repeated consistently over time, produce results that feel nothing short of remarkable. Strength grows through resilience, the willingness to be broken and to rebuild. I remember a project I'd invested everything in that failed publicly and completely. I felt the embarrassment in my chest for weeks. And then one morning, I asked myself a different question. Not, why did this happen to me? But, what is this teaching me? That shift, from victim to student, changed the entire trajectory of what came next. Strength also requires clarity of purpose. Without it, you may be disciplined and resilient, but moving in the wrong direction. Purpose is the compass that ensures your effort is not just consistent, but meaningful. It is what transforms hard work from exhaustion into fulfillment. And strength requires emotional mastery. The world will test your patience. It will provoke your anger, your fear, your insecurity. The strongest version of you does not suppress those feelings. It acknowledges them, understands them, and then chooses wisdom over impulse. Finally, strength requires vision. You must see the person you are becoming, not as a distant fantasy, but as a real, achievable identity. Envision them clearly. Know their values, their habits, their way of moving through the world. And then, decision by decision, day by day, become them. That person already exists inside you. They are not waiting for perfect conditions. They are waiting for your commitment. Everything we have explored, finding yourself, knowing your values, removing what broke you, building your strength, it all converges here. Living fully empowered. Empowerment begins with clarity. Once you know who you are and what you stand for, decisions stop being sources of anxiety and become expressions of identity. You no longer deliberate endlessly over what others will think. You simply ask, is this aligned with who I am? Empowerment deepens through responsibility. Most people wait for luck, for permission, for circumstances to improve. Empowered people do not wait. They take ownership of their lives, their choices, and their outcomes, even the painful ones. I once had a business fail. Completely. And for a moment, I had every opportunity to blame the economy, my partners, the timing. But blame would have kept me powerless. Instead, I chose responsibility. I studied what went wrong. I improved. I prepared. And when the next opportunity arrived, I was ready. Not because conditions had improved, but because I had. Responsibility is freedom. The moment you own your life, you reclaim control over it. Empowerment grows through courage, not the absence of fear, but action taken in spite of it. There will always be a room you hesitate to walk into, a voice you hesitate to raise, a step you hesitate to take. Empowerment is choosing to move anyway. Not recklessly, but faithfully. Trusting yourself enough to show up even when you feel unready. Empowerment is sustained through consistency. It is built in small choices, daily habits, quiet disciplines. In treating people with respect even when it isn't returned. In choosing integrity even when no one is watching. These invisible moments compound, and over time, they become the architecture of an empowered life. Empowerment is deepened by gratitude. I learned this the hard way. You can achieve remarkable things and still feel empty. If you are always chasing the next result, always measuring yourself against others, always treating the present as merely a stepping stone to somewhere better. When I shifted my focus to gratitude, everything changed. Not my circumstances, my relationship to them. The small victories became worth celebrating. The people who showed up for me became worth honoring. The journey itself became as meaningful as the destination. And finally, empowerment is completed by generosity. True power is never hoarded. It multiplies when it is given away. The most fulfilling moments of my life have not been my greatest achievements. They have been the moments I helped someone else find theirs. When you share your clarity, your courage, your knowledge with others, you do not diminish yourself. You discover a depth of purpose that personal success alone can never provide. So what does this life look like? The life on the other side of rediscovery. You wake with purpose. You pursue goals with quiet confidence. You respond to challenges with resilience rather than panic. You make decisions with intention rather than impulse. You act from your values, not from fear, not from expectation, not from the need for approval. You feel, perhaps for the first time in a long time, genuinely alive. Not performing aliveness. Not imitating it. Living it. The journey back to yourself will not be perfect. You will stumble. You will question yourself. There will be mornings when the old voices return and the old habits pull at you. That is not failure, that is the process. Every honest reflection, every courageous choice, every step taken in alignment with your true self brings you closer. And here is what I most want you to hear. You are not late. There is no version of this journey where you miss your moment, where too much time has passed, where the best of you is behind you. That is simply not true. The person you are becoming is not limited by who you have been. You are, right now, at the beginning of something. The greatest journey you will ever take is the journey back to yourself. And it starts, not someday, not when conditions improve, not when you feel ready enough, but now. Right here. With whatever you have. With whoever you are today. Come back. You've been waiting for yourself.